Ellie is pregnant. However, when I received the pregnancy test form she sent me, I also received a revealing bed photo. She said, "I slept with your brother and got pregnant with his child." To be honest, it was really cool. I was speechless. Before I could come to my senses, a barrage of comments suddenly appeared in front of me. The barrage said, "No, you never slept with each other. The heroine is pregnant with your child. She just wants you to be jealous. What's wrong with that?" Another barrage replied, "Yes, who told you to just work all day and ignore our Ellie? She just wants you to put down your work and spend more time with her. What's wrong with that?" The next comment read, "What the heroine wants is an attitude. You coax her and say that even if it's someone else's child, as long as it's born by you, you're willing to raise it. She just wants your love. What's wrong with that? I'm not interested in investigating who's right or wrong. Instead, I directly searched for abortion pills on Taobao. The barrage that had been persuading me went crazy. One said, "The child is innocent. Your action is too cruel. Is it really necessary?" Another added, "The heroine just loves you too much. You won't die if you go apologize. How did our poor heroine end up with such a cold hero? You're like a vicious male supporting role." One more repeated, "In the plot, the heroine loves the hero very much. How could she have slept with someone else?" I ignored the comments and put my phone in my pocket. Ellie stopped in front of me and asked, "What are you doing in the hospital?" I pinched my eyebrows and replied, "I didn't sleep well last night. I have a headache." The photo and message had been sent to my phone, and I sat in the living room all night. I called her countless times, but she didn't answer. The comments said Ellie didn't sleep all night either. She shook her red wine glass elegantly, listening to the pleasant ringtone, and let the call ring and hang up again and again. She was enjoying my worry, my pain, as if that proved I still cared about her. After hearing what I said, Ellie's lips curled up into a happy arc, and she said like she was granting a favor, "Okay, I promise I won't spend the night out again." I didn't say anything. I rubbed my dizzy head and was about to leave, but Ellie was staring at me as if expecting something. A comment said, "Hurry up and hug her. She's jealous. Say that even if it's someone else's child, you'll raise it if it's hers. You feel heartbroken when she's hugged by another man." Another added, "Look at the heroine's eyes shining. She almost said it herself." I took a deep breath, pretended not to see it, and continued walking. Suddenly, Ellie grabbed my sleeve and asked angrily, "Brian, don't you have anything to say to me?" I looked at her and asked, "What do you want me to say?" She got angry and said, "Are you a piece of wood? Sometimes I really want to rip your heart open and see what's inside." A comment said, "Male protagonist, say your heart is full of her." That might work. I took out my phone, pulled up the chat history, handed it to her, and said, "I want to ask you, Ellie, what are you trying to do?" She froze for a moment, then snorted and said, "It was just a punishment for losing a truth or dare game. But I have good news, I really am pregnant." I interrupted her, "Have you ever considered how I feel?" She frowned, "What are you doing?" I said it was just a game. "Why are you reacting so strongly?" 3 days after our unpleasant parting, Ellie posted a photo to her moments. Her brothers were holding an umbrella for her, and she was making a peace sign with the caption, "A man who loves you will show up whenever you need him." I put down my phone and buried myself in work. There were more important tasks to finish. The barrage asked indignantly, "Is the male lead sick? Still working at a time like this? Does he want to give up his wife for work? The female lead loves him so much, why is he so cold? He doesn't deserve her." Another comment said, "If the male lead just admits he's jealous, the matter would be over. Isn't a happy family of 3 better? Is it that hard to admit you care?" I nodded to myself, it is hard to be a father. At that moment, Ellie's best friend suddenly called me, panicked. "Brother Brian, come quickly, Ellie is in trouble." Then there was a sound of a wine bottle breaking and her scream before the call ended. I rushed to the location she sent. Outside the room, I heard laughter. A woman said, "Ellie, it's been so long. Do you think Brian the workaholic will really come?" Another said, "Brian chased Ellie for more than 20 years before he got her. You think he won't come?" A man added, "Ellie just posted that photo, and Brian didn't react. Anyway, Ellie, if you lose, you can't cheat. You have to give me the X project." I had worked on that project for a year, even when I had a fever and was on N4. She knew all of this. And now, she was gambling it away. Through the crack in the door, I saw Ellie biting her lip, staring at her phone impatiently. When she opened the door, everyone turned to look at me, some surprised, some disappointed. Ellie breathed a sigh of relief and said, "You lost." Brand name bags, jewelry, and other luxury goods were laid out on the table. Ellie smiled and said, "I have plenty of these. Who cares?" One of her friends said, Yes, you have a husband who loves you like his life. We don't." Someone else joked, "Don't let brother Brian run away." Ellie pouted, then suddenly, as if to prove something, wrapped her arms around Nathan's neck and kissed him passionately. Then she crooked her finger at me. The comment said, "The heroine just wants to see the hero fight Nathan for her. Come on, hero." Another said, "Honestly, don't you think the heroine is too much? She's married and about to become a mother." But the next comment replied, "The ones above don't understand. Don't talk nonsense. Is this a hobby?" If the hero hadn't been stubborn, the heroine wouldn't have used such an extreme method. Otherwise, why do you think our heroine took so long to allow the hero to touch her? I've been married to Ellie for a year and we've been together for 3 years. However, it was only 2 months ago that she allowed me to touch her for the first time. So, how is that possible? I frowned and clenched my fists slightly. They looked at me provocatively, waiting for me to get angry and beg Ellie to go back humbly, but I didn't. I just looked at her quietly and said, "Ellie, how old are you? Can you please not be so childish?" After saying that, I turned and left. We had a cold war for half a month. In the end, this project could be implemented as long as Party A signed, and the whole company had been busy for a year. But on the day of the dinner, Ellie came uninvited and brought Nathan with her. She said that Nathan had joined the company and we should give him some practice after the project was signed. Nathan smiled at me proudly and said, "Brian, we can be brothers again like before." My eyebrows were throbbing. In college, Nathan and I were good brothers, but later I found out he approached me for Ellie. After marriage, he was a thorn between Ellie and me. Wherever he was, there would be no good. When I was about to lose my temper and yell at them to get out, Party A came. I took a deep breath and greeted Party A and his wife with a smile. When we were drinking, I was toasting everyone one by one, but Ellie put down her chopsticks with a cold face, as if Party A owed her money. The barrage commented, "Yo, the heroine is jealous. Her husband toasted someone else's wife. Upstairs, don't be too outrageous. That's Party A's wife." I didn't change my expression and dealt with Party A. Party A saw that I was capable and could put down my attitude. After 2 drinks, she said in high spirits, "Mr. Brian, your company's design and plan this time are very innovative. I am optimistic about them. You are also a sentimental person. Then I wish us a lot of money in this cooperation. Come, let's have a drink together." I raised my glass and felt stable. However, the next second, there was a scream. Ellie had splashed the wine on Party A's face. She said, "I am a serious person, not a hostess." After she finished speaking, she glanced at me with disdain. I gritted my teeth and glared at Ellie. I quickly bowed and bent down to apologize to Party A, handing her a tissue to wipe the stains on her face. However, Nathan grabbed me and said with a bad face, "Brian, your wife is so angry. It's okay if you don't coax her, but you're helping outsiders." Party A was angry and said, "Mr. Brian, I think it's better not to cooperate with your company." In an instant, I felt like I had fallen into an ice cellar. The whole company's hard work for a year was in vain. I slumped in the chair. Nathan was still talking nonsense. It would have been better if he had just left. He thinks he's great just because he's rich. Who does he look down on? To be fair, Brother Brian, what you did just now was indeed wrong. Your wife is angry and you still apologize to others. If it were my wife, I would always stand by her side unconditionally. He said to Ellie, Ellie, don't be angry. I'll speak for him for you. I was furious. With a snap, I stood up and slapped Nathan hard. Get out. His face immediately became red and swollen. He gritted his teeth and said, good medicine tastes bitter, and honest advice is contrary to reason. I didn't wait for him to finish and slapped him again with my backhand. Just when I was about to teach him a lesson, Ellie rushed over to stop me. She looked at me straight, her eyes full of indignation and disbelief, and her voice almost trembled. She asked, Brian, why did you hit someone? We stared at each other for a long time. I looked at her numbly and said, Ellie, the project that the whole company has been busy with for a year is gone. Are you satisfied to see me go crazy? She still didn't seem satisfied with my answer and asked again, did you hit him for me or for the company? I was speechless. I pinched my eyebrows to calm down my emotions and said tiredly, because of the company. She got angry again and said in a cold voice, then you will spend the rest of your life with your work. Nathan came over to coax her, Ellie, don't get angry and hurt yourself. Ellie looked at me for a long time and said, Brian, do you know why I'm close to Nathan? Because he will coax me, will be jealous of me, he respects women, takes my feelings into consideration, and thinks of me everywhere. I just felt tired and said in a hoarse voice, then you live with him. Ellie became even angrier and she shouted, Brian. I looked at her indifferently, Ellie, what do you want? The barrage slid, she wants you to admit your mistakes, to provide emotional value, and to have your emotions fluctuate for her. Brian, she just loves you too much and has no sense of security. Please understand her. The heroine usually doesn't say it, but she feels aggrieved. Every day when she sees you working late at night, she can only sulk under the quilt, wondering, why doesn't my husband come to accompany me? Doesn't he love me anymore? There were also barrages that refuted, don't you think the male protagonist is miserable? Just because Ellie feels insecure, she wants to torture the hero like this. Anyway, I can't stand it. Ellie looked at me hesitantly and then whispered, think about it yourself. I ignored her and pondered, love. Maybe I did before. Now I just want to escape. And I don't care whether she loves me or not. Looking at their backs as they left, I called the lawyer and said, draft a divorce agreement. I want a divorce. We'll discuss the division of property at the company tomorrow. When I got home, I lay on the bed with all the strength drained from my body. The barrage of comments surged, no way. If we really get divorced, the heroine will lose half her life. After all, she loves the hero so much. There were also comments like, Ellie is pregnant. Can't you just endure it for her? I don't understand what the hero is insisting on. The heroine is now looking at her phone, waiting for him to coax her. I closed my eyes and didn't look at the barrage of comments. I just felt so tired and wanted to take a nap. After waking up, I ate calmly. I chatted with my dad at noon. My dad asked me, Boda, did you have a fight? I was slightly stunned. He said, husband and wife don't hold grudges overnight. You can coax her with some soft words and you will naturally reconcile. Women are emotional. When she becomes a mother in the future, she will be sensible. I put down my phone and asked, then it seems that you and my mother are living a good life. My father was speechless. My father is from the older generation. He has always believed that in marriage, men should give in to women, tolerate each other's little temper, and take care of each other's emotions. He believes that being afraid of his wife is a manifestation of love, and that a husband's money should be spent on his wife. Therefore, although my father and mother were in a business marriage without emotional foundation, my father was never stingy with his efforts. He treated her as a treasure and purchased a lot of real estate and investments in her name. They even had a period of harmonious marriage. But later, when my mother became pregnant, everything took a sharp turn. Her demands became non-negotiable, and she vented her temper freely. She began to threaten him with divorce and abortion constantly. After the child was born, the child became a tool to force him into compromise. No matter how much my father gave in, she only grew more disdainful, and her demands escalated. Eventually, she even forced my father to help her with immigration and then ran off to live a carefree life abroad with a younger man. My father said, "Ellie likes you, she's different." I lowered my head and sighed long. I said, "But Dad, why? I thought, Ellie and I have been together for 3 years. Her temper has grown stranger. I've coaxed her for 3 years. Even the first time, she arrogantly said to me, 'Since you love me so much, I'll reluctantly agree to you.' I am the only one supporting the company and constantly managing her emotions. It's ridiculous. I have my own life, and I'm not interested in playing the dog-licking game anymore. This marriage must end." The next day, when I arrived at the company, Hubert handed me the divorce agreement. He said, "Mr. Brian, your divorce will be complicated. It will take time to write a separate property division statement. Both Brian's and Ellie's families run large corporations with deep entanglements." I wasn't surprised. I asked, "How long will it take?" He replied, 3 days. I nodded. At that moment, chaos broke out outside. Ellie came in with a cold face and said, "Fire your manager and promote Nathan." Hubert left tactfully. I lowered my head to focus on work and ignored her. She sat at the desk and took the folder from my hand. She didn't even open it, unaware that it contained the freshly printed divorce agreement. She tossed it aside, propped up her chin, and looked at me. She said, "Brian, Nathan just arrived. Many people are unhappy with him. I want to help him." The barrage commented, "The heroine deliberately came to provoke the hero, who ignored her all night. The heroine didn't sleep, waiting for him to coax her, feeling so wronged." Others said, "The two are just prideful gourds, neither is willing to back down, it's frustrating." And also, male lead, "Don't be angry, she just found an excuse to come see you, she misses you." I sneered and said, "That last project was ruined by him. Our entire company is cleaning up his mess. And now he wants a promotion. Ellie, why?" She looked into my eyes provocatively. "Because he has me," she said. What did she want to see on my face? But I didn't give her the satisfaction. I said, "Then you two can go out and work alone." Her face darkened. She frowned and said, "Brian, I'm your wife. And you want me to go out and work with another man?" I smiled. "Isn't this exactly what you wanted? I'll fulfill you." She blushed and snapped, "Fine. Don't regret it." That day, Ellie left with half of the company's technical core team. They started a new company with lots of support. Nathan held shares. Ellie used her connections. Overnight, all projects related to her were taken back. They even started competing with me in the overseas market. The core team was truly capable. Once their product was released, it drew attention from foreign partners. Ellie leaned against a pillar, looking pleased. She said, "Brian, after all, I'm your wife. If you just ask, I might consider forgiving you." I turned around impatiently, not wanting to deal with her at all. Now Brian's and Ellie's businesses were polarized thanks to her, and the property division became much simpler. The old staff from her side were all taken away by her, and I no longer had to worry about betrayal. Tomorrow the property would be divided, and the divorce agreement would be handed over. We would have nothing to do with each other anymore. Ellie suddenly grabbed my sleeve and said, "Unhappy, Brian, don't go too far. Or I really won't forgive you." The barrage commented, "The heroine finally gave in, this was a good step, the hero should take this chance to reconcile. You've been fighting non-stop, and the heroine misses you so much she cries at night. She suffered while away from you, it's so sad. Reconciliation is possible here. The male lead should be more generous." I looked back at Ellie. There was grievance and hope in her eyes. In the past, I might have coaxed her, but now, I no longer cared. Seeing me unmoved, she grew angrier. I gave you a way out, and you didn't take it. Do you really want a divorce? We were about to argue. Nathan rushed over to console her. Ellie, don't be sad. I'll feel terrible. Brian is just being stubborn. I'll talk to him for you. I was speechless. Ellie looked at me, disappointed. Look at Nathan, then look at you. What kind of man are you? I lost patience. Then let's get a divorce. The room fell silent. Ellie stared at me in disbelief. Do you know what you're saying? Divorce, I repeated. She pressed her lips together, emotions welling in her eyes, ready to explode. Nathan's grin nearly broke out, though he pretended to be heartbroken. Brian, I'm not trying to speak badly, but you've crossed the line. Do you think Ellie is easy to bully? Don't think she's afraid to get divorced. He glanced at Ellie. The barrage said, this bastard is still stirring things up. Don't fall for it, hero and heroine. Ellie bit her lip but didn't lash out. After a long pause, her tone softened. Brian, I won't argue with you. Just admit your mistake now, and I'll forgive you. The barrage lit up again, no need to divorce. The heroine bowed her head. That should be enough. She's already compromised, what more does the hero want? I was annoyed by both the barrage and Ellie. She took 2 steps back, about to leave. But then Ellie lost her temper and shouted, Brian, you'd better not come back and beg me. As she said that, she stood on tiptoe and kissed Nathan. When I got home, I called the moving company. All my things were moved to a private residence overnight. When I got up in the morning, I went to the company to find Hubert first. After getting the things, I went straight to Ellie. Ellie was complaining to her friends, and her girlfriends were comforting her. One of her girlfriends said, Ellie, what are you worried about with your conditions? It's not easy to find a 3-legged toad, but there are plenty of 2-legged men. There are many people chasing you, so why bother about that unromantic Brian? Ellie glanced at her and said, get out of here. I didn't go in at the door. Someone was talking again, what do you know? Ellie and Brian are childhood sweethearts. Their feelings are not comparable to others. Diana handed Ellie a drink and interrupted, Ellie, don't be anxious. Hasn't Brian been chasing you since elementary school? He can't even love you, so how could he leave you? Besides, his Brian family was in financial crisis at the time, but it was your Ellie family who rescued them. He didn't dare. I knew from a young age that I would marry Ellie. Although she was arrogant at that time, she was not unreasonable. She also sneered at chicken soup literature. She also stood up for my family when their business was in crisis. She once said, Brian, no matter what difficulties you go through, I will be with you. But later, she made friends with these girlfriends and hooked up with Nathan. Her personality changed. She quarreled with me every day. I endured it for 3 years and dedicated 3 years to the Ellie family. The person in front of me is no longer the same person as before. I should have woken up earlier. Diana continued, just based on this point, Brian will have to work like a cow and a horse for you all his life, otherwise his spine will be poked crooked. Ellie's face looked better and she also felt that I didn't dare to divorce her. I pushed open the door and everyone's eyes looked over. A girlfriend said, look, brother Brian is here. You didn't come home all night last night, and brother Brian must be worried to death. Ellie showed a smile at the corner of her lips but pretended to turn her face away. She asked, what are you doing here? I glanced at Diana without saying anything, took 2 steps closer, and was about to hand the divorce agreement and property division book to Ellie for signature. Someone saw the word, property, on the cover with sharp eyes. She said, wow, brother Brian came to ask for forgiveness and brought all the property. This is really sincere. Ellie rolled her eyes at me, snuggled in Nathan's arms and said, I really don't like those dead straight men with low emotional intelligence and who can't speak, but considering that you have been sad all night and still came to admit your mistake, I'm still willing to give you a chance. Nathan interrupted, Ellie, if you forgive him easily, he will become even worse in the future. Otherwise, let me say a few words for him. Ellie was eager to forgive me, but her good face collapsed again. She said angrily, Brian, come here and apologize to Nathan, and then settle the bill for us, and I will go home with you. The barrage was more anxious than me. The barrage commented, don't mess with the heroine. The hero has decided to divorce you. The heroine is really courting death. I won't help her this time. I sneered and threw the divorce agreement in front of her with a snap. I said, sign. The 4 big words, divorce agreement, came into view. The corners of her raised lips froze for a moment, and her face changed suddenly. After a while, she looked up at me with panic and disbelief in her eyes. She said, Brian, there should be a limit to jealousy. If you tear this thing up now, I can pretend that I didn't see it. Her voice trembled, and her eyes looked straight at me. I opened the divorce agreement, pointed to the signature and handed her the pen. I said, sign here. The air was eerily quiet. Ellie's face was extremely ugly. Suddenly, with a bang, she swept the cup on the table to the ground. Ellie's eyes turned red and she said in a hoarse voice, I said I would go back with you, what else do you want? I looked at her indifferently. She lowered her head, not daring to look me in the eye. Her whole body was trembling. She came over and took my arm, trembling, and said, okay, I get it, let's go home. I shook off her hand and said, Ellie, we have no home anymore. Her hand trembled and her eyes turned red. I bent down and picked up the divorce agreement, holding her hand and holding the pen. She quickly broke free, her eyes were wet, I won't sign. She whispered to me, Brian, I'm pregnant with your child. You can't leave me. I will keep my distance from Nathan in the future. Let's go home, okay? She lowered her head and murmured to herself, but I just thought it was ridiculous. I never blindly believe what others say. Everyone has their own limitations, even the barrage is no exception. Who says there will be no variables ignored by the barrage? For me, what I saw was that my wife, who never allowed me to touch her, suddenly took the initiative once and got pregnant. I said, Ellie, just sign it. I don't want to say anything too harsh. Let's part ways in peace. After I finished speaking, I didn't want to waste time with her, so I held her hand and wrote her name stroke by stroke. Her fingertips were turning white and sadness was lingering around her. The words were twisted and forced because of her interference, but she finally signed. I turned around to leave, but she grabbed my sleeve, her palm tightened, and stubbornly refused to let go. Nathan came over and hugged Ellie, prying her fingers apart one by one. He said, Ellie, it's okay, let him go, you still have me. When I stepped out of the door, I heard Ellie lose her temper, get out of here. There was a crackling sound. She smashed things and shouted, Brian, just don't regret it. The next second, a female voice shouted, Ellie, what's wrong with you? The barrage commented, what's going on? Why is the heroine bleeding? Another barrage commented, is it because of being too emotional? I didn't look back. After I went back, I called my assistant and told him about the work arrangements for the next few days. I was very tired when I got off work after a busy day. Just after I got home, Ellie called me. I didn't answer but she kept calling. I muted my phone. After washing up, I lay down to sleep. When I woke up the next day, my phone was blown up. There were more than 100 missed calls and countless text messages, Brian, come to the hospital soon. I'm in so much pain. Please, I'm alone in the hospital. I'm scared to death. I really can't hold on any longer. Brian, where are you? I glanced at it and threw the phone away. The assistant booked a flight for me at noon. I didn't have time to waste time with her. When I was having lunch with Diana on the weekend, the assistant called me. It turned out that Ellie had accused me online in order to force me to meet her. I said, you should just work and treat her as heir. The internet was flooded with people scolding me for being an ungrateful wolf. Some people commented that he stepped on women to get to the top, kicked his pregnant wife when he had money and power, and then kept a mistress. I've seen a lot of men like this. It's disgusting. Some people commented that he was an ungrateful scum. Just wait and see. The boycott of Brian starts with me. Who dares to use the things made by such a person? Add me. I closed the web page and shut my eyes to rest. The company's top management called one after another. Customers cancelled orders, projects were blocked, the company's image was damaged, and the stock market plummeted. The business lawyer called and said, "Mr. Brian, public opinion is getting more and more intense. Should we intervene?" I said in a calm voice, "No. Let her make a fuss, and add fuel to the fire when necessary." In a few weeks, public opinion was turned upside down. I finally went to find Ellie. She said, "Brian, why didn't you reply to my text messages? Why didn't you see me?" Her face was haggard, and she said, "Do you know that I'm almost going crazy looking for you? But fortunately, you still came to see me. Hubby, let's be good in the future and never quarrel again." As she spoke, she took out some fruit from the bag next to her and asked me to peel it. She said, "Hubby, we are two people now, and we need more nutrition." I lowered my head and peeled the fruit, ignoring her. She was not angry and said with a smile, "By the way, hubby, let's give our baby a name." She said, "How about Brian Juan Juan?" She said that this name represents happiness. Our family of 3 will be together happily for the rest of our lives. She held my arm with stars in her eyes and said, "Brian, I'm so happy." I frowned. I was indifferent to her from beginning to end and didn't even look at her. She was immersed in her own world, unable to distinguish between reality and illusion. The doctor came in and called me out to remind me of the things I should pay attention to. Just after talking to the doctor, I ran into Nathan. He smiled and said, "You can't compete with me. Just give up." I was speechless. He continued, "I came to this world for Ellie, so she can only be mine. I don't understand why he is so sure, but I don't bother to compete with him." I said, "She is just a woman. If you want, I will give her to you." He looked at me and smiled. He said, "Look how pretentious you are. Your wife has been stolen, and you are still pretending to be magnanimous." He smiled sarcastically and said, "You are just a paper man and you still want to fight with me." I was too lazy to pay attention to him, but Ellie came out. Her face was extremely gloomy, but there was a trace of pain in her eyes. Seeing Nathan here, her voice was even colder. She said, "Get out." Nathan was about to speak, but before he could open his mouth, Ellie shouted, "Get out of here. If you come in front of us again, I will make you disappear completely." Nathan glared at me hatefully and turned away. Ellie walked up to me and said nothing. She hugged me tightly. She was shaking for a long time. She let me go and wiped her tears. I sighed and said, "Ellie, the child is gone." She interrupted me and said, "Husband, I can't eat the food you cook here. When I get better, I want to eat the food you cook every day for the rest of my life, okay?" She wanted to pretend that everything was the same as before, but I broke her fantasy and said, "Ellie, whether it is our child or not, it is gone. We can't go back." With a plop, tears fell to the ground. She pretended to be relaxed and said, "It's okay. I will have children again in the future. It's okay." I looked at her and spoke again, "Ellie, there is no future. After you get better, we will get a divorce." She froze, looked up at me, her eyes red, and said, "No, I won't divorce." I turned around and said, "It's not up to you." She said, "Brian, we have been childhood sweethearts since we were young. You have liked me for so many years. You must be reluctant to divorce me. You are angry, right? I promise you that I will be obedient in the future and never make you angry again. As long as you don't divorce me, you can ask me to do anything. I won't disturb you when you're working. I'll listen to you in everything." She looked at me fragilely and humbly, and I shook my head slowly in her expectant gaze, my eyes broken. She choked and said, "But Brian, I love you. During the days you disappeared, I recalled our past over and over again. But when I opened my eyes, there was no one around me. I couldn't find the person who would stay with me. This was more painful than taking my life. I just love you too much, so I'm worried about gains and losses. I want to prove through everything that you won't leave me. I asked, have you ever thought about my feelings? She wiped the tears from her eyes and said, I'm sorry. I replied, I really feel sorry. The day came and we went to get a divorce on time to apply for the divorce certificate. Ellie wore a school uniform. She stalled outside and told me about our beautiful youth when we were in school. But no matter how she pretended, she was no longer the girl she used to be. I spoke impatiently, can you speak faster? I'm in a hurry. She was stunned for a long time, her eyes red. She asked, Brian, can we really not go back? I looked at her indifferently. After a long stalemate, her feet seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds and she couldn't lift them up. I pulled her in, got a number, and lined up. She cried when she signed. I didn't even look at her when I got the divorce certificate. I turned around and left. She chased after me. I got in the car and stepped on the accelerator, spraying her with exhaust gas. After returning to the company, I dealt with the online public opinion in a swift and resolute manner. I posted the bed photos that Ellie had sent me, the chat records about giving birth to Nathan, and Nathan's provocation on the internet. Ellie cheated and Nathan intervened. When netizens came to their senses, public opinion immediately became one-sided. Netizens commented that we had been used as a gun for a long time. This scumbag interfered in other people's marriages and was so arrogant. It disgusts me. My husband is so capable, but the scumbag must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. It's too miserable. Brian was ridden on the head and peed on, but he was still so graceful. I will only use Brian's products in the future. Public opinion fermented, and Nathan and Ellie became scumbags that everyone wanted to beat. Ellie was also exposed for a lot of negative information. In just a few days, the building was in danger. Ellie would even be pelted with rotten eggs if she was unlucky. Being maliciously posted online to mock, the daughter of the Ellie family, who had always been the center of attention, suddenly fell into the mire and lost her spirit. On the day when Ellie announced bankruptcy, I met Ellie. She looked haggard but smiled at me. She said, "Hubby, Ellie has collapsed, and I have become a street rat. Have you calmed down a bit?" I looked at her coldly. Her face was pale, and she lowered her eyes. Her voice was trembling. "Don't look at me so coldly, okay? Husband, my heart hurts." I glanced at her impatiently, then passed her and opened the car door. I saw Diana sitting in the passenger seat. Ellie ran over and asked, "Is it because of her?" I replied, "Whatever you think." I got in the car and closed the door. The long-lost barrage appeared, give him a taste of his own medicine. The heroine deserves it. She didn't cherish him when she was together, and she was always making trouble. Why is she pretending here now? She leaned on the window, her eyes full of pain. She choked and said, "Please, don't leave." I stepped on the accelerator, and the car started. Ellie collapsed. She cried and said, "Brian, I was wrong. Don't leave me. I only have you." She chased the car with tears in her eyes but was knocked to the ground by a motorcycle that suddenly appeared. The onlookers blocked our sight. From then on, she and I became strangers. Half a month later, on the way to the company, I met Nathan in full disguise. He was holding a bottle of chemical in his hand and rushed towards me. He said angrily, "I am the protagonist of this world. I have a system. As long as I destroy you, everything will be fine." The moment the unknown liquid was splashed over, a shadow flew over. The whole bottle of liquid was splashed on the lame Ellie. She frowned and said, as if she didn't feel the pain, "Fortunately, I came in time." "Fortunately, you are okay." I quickly called the police and an ambulance. I had mixed feelings in my heart and felt very uncomfortable. When she fell down, she whispered, "Brian, whether you believe it or not, I love you. Nathan, who was held down by the security guard, was shouting, Ellie, you crazy woman, you should love me. I came for you. If I can't conquer you, I will die. Ellie, I am the protagonist. Ellie was admitted to the hospital. Nathan went to jail, while I am in charge of a listed company, holding hundreds of billions of assets, owning countless luxury cars and mansions, free and unfettered. My father finally divorced my mother. We are financially free, traveling around the world, traveling everywhere. The sun is shining, I smile and look into the distance. The comment stays on the last one, sure enough, a man is most free when he lives for himself.